ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हे कविं कवीनाम् उमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आनश्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामभित्रेवतु महासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विजये भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। देवीं वाचमजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्दिरेषु मूर्जन्धुहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतिष्ठतैतु या संवसिष्ठनत्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमां श्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रीललिता महात्रिपुरसुन्दरी समेत श्रीचन्द्रमौळीश्वराय नमः। श्रीकाञ्चीकामकोटिपीठाधिपति जगद्गुरु श्रीशङ्कराचार्य श्रीचरणयोः प्रणामाः। So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. We finished the third mantra last time, right? So, before we go to the fourth one, just wanted to get a quick recap. Do you remember what the meaning of the third mantra was? பத்மஜா கொஞ்சம் உங்களோட கேமரா கொஞ்சம் கீழே பண்ணிக்கோ. That's it. Yeah. No, yours is good. Yeah. If it is here up to here, no, it gives a very odd feeling. Yeah. Usha is trying to say something. I don't think we can hear you. So we have to change your audio setting. We can't see your video in case you are at work.
I think I was interacting with them. You're not able to hear me?
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. So mantra number 3. Do you remember, Padmaja? Mute.
I'm sorry.
Sonalji?
It's a golden star, Brahma unit, image of the god. No, I'm sorry. I'm not able to
That's fine.
express.
Sonalji? So it's okay. So let me just quickly revise that. यदा पश्यते रुक्मवर्णं कर्तारमेशं पुरुषं ब्रह्मयोनिं तदा विद्वान् पुण्यपापे विधूय निरञ्जनः परमं साम्यमुपैति. This is the mantra. So if you take the summary of what it is saying is when the knowing individual, means when a person is an educated individual, has the vision of the intelligent creator. You have a vision of the creator, right? It is attributeless, it's vast, enormous, all of those things, imperishable. You've been learning that in every mantra almost. Sorry?
Without form, color.
Correct. Without form, color, shape, etc. Infinite, imperishable.
Pervading and all.
Correct.
All over it.
And also there was nothing before it. There is no cause and effect applicable to that. So the intelligent creator, also called as the Lord, the Purusha, or the Brahman, which is the source of all. He is the source of all. So it shakes off both the merit and demerit, and it is taintless. The one who has this knowledge attains the supreme equality with the Lord. That means you merge with the Lord. Until you are trapped into the Maya, there is always going to be a gap. Once you break open the Maya, you literally merge with the Lord. So the Lord is designated having a golden hue, which doesn't mean that is his color. It only means his nature of knowledge is eternally inherent in him. Even as the color of gold is something inherent in it. It also points to the self luminous nature of God. That means all pervading, all knowledge, and the characteristics are imperishable, which is what this mantra is repeating. And that is the fact that is hinted by the unaffected color of gold, which is the word in the mantra that refers to it. Correct. Rukma Varnam. So only it's okay. You don't have to cover your face, even if you have not done your homework. We all do that, so it's not a big deal. And there are always times when you tend to say, "Hey, I'm just blanking out." It happens all the time with me. So the individual, which was the reference to the other bird, should have the ability to perceive the universal being. You may not be able to see it, touch it, feel it, etc., but you will be able to perceive it, right? So to the individual is attributed the quality of knowingness, which is the knowledge of the supreme being, achieved after the acquisition of power of correct discrimination. So you have to go through the process of getting knowledge. Only then of knowledge of the supreme being. Again, go back to those earlier mantras. Lower level knowledge, higher level knowledge. So you can't just say I am getting into the self realization mode without going through the motion of acquiring the knowledge, the basic level knowledge, and then putting the efforts to go through acquiring the higher level knowledge, which is where you cross those forests and then suddenly you see the light equal to 1,000 sun. That is when it breaks everything and you realize that what you have been attracted to all these years is all maya. It doesn't exist. So that is what is the knowledge that is being referred to. And correct discrimination means that is where you're able to differentiate this is real and this is maya. So divine knowledge, if you have to use that term for the higher level knowledge, is free from the conception of good and bad. There is no good God and bad God. Right? There is no good Purusha and bad Purusha. So those kind of characterization, those kind of benchmarking that you do, divine knowledge is free from that. I don't know whether you remember when I said the process of learning, as we all know, right from childhood, is if you take an apple, somebody teaches you it has got this shape, it's got red color, it is circular, not necessarily like orange circle or sphere, three-dimensional, and then it will have that stem like this. What happens if the stem is broken? Technically speaking, you are supposed to ask that question: is this an apple? But over a period of time, we've learned sometimes the stem is going to be there, sometimes it's not going to be there. But there are other characteristics that we apply to say this is apple, and that happens based on the two spheres of the brain. Process of learning is you see something, you apply attributes, characteristics, and store that as a package in your database in one half of the brain. Next time you see the same object, all your sensory organs snapshots, puts a query. If you're a technical person, you'll understand it is a SQL query. Hey, from the database, tell me what this is. All happens even before you blink your eye. That's why you don't realize that. But every time you do that, it happens. So imagine the number of objects that you're seeing around you and you get that snapshot query processed. It's one of the most powerful computers that you can ever think of. So when you do this whole thing is based on the physical objects that you see, and that is what you tend to believe all your life. This is the real world. This is not the real world. So divine knowledge is free from the conception of good and bad because this knowledge is not relative. There is no relativity in this. It's an all consuming wisdom in which relative natures or conceptions can have no value. You cannot say this is better than that. That is better than this. I was more happy yesterday. There's no concept of relativity. Today, no, don't question. Again, every time when you talk of divine knowledge, don't compare it with this knowledge. We are saying that in this world you will be like that. So until you are able to visualize the Purusha, you will keep getting trapped into this. So you have to start practicing that let go concept. Okay. So distinctions, when you say like wise, good, bad, high, low, etc., are made only as long as the comprehensive knowledge which underlies all the distinctions are not realized. They are not experienced is the wrong word, it's realized. So I can't teach you. This is the way to remove the distinctions. You have to realize it, that awakening has to come within you. Nobody else can do it for you. So the effects of merit and demerit, which we constantly keep doing, they are burnt up with the fire of knowledge. So you keep on acquiring more and more knowledge. So quick quiz. What are all the things that we need to know? We keep saying that knowledge, that knowledge. So what is it as a starting point?
We need to meditate with true focus and hit the target, that is Brahman.
Perfect.
In the process of doing this, we should get out of those ego and all those chuckers that we have. I am big, he has this, I have more money compared to him, etc., etc. Let go of our desires. The greed rather. More and more I want.
If I'm not disturbing your flow of thoughts, now this is a different version that you're hearing than what I have been teaching, right? But pay attention to what she's saying. Beautifully, she's capturing the sequence well. So please pay attention. So yeah, go ahead, Usha.
Okay. So we have to let go of that ego, that I am big, I am mighty, nothing moves without me kind thing. Second thing is we need to detach ourselves from the worldly things, like greed for gadgets, jewelry, saris, this, that, etc. And wholeheartedly only and only focus on, following the path to the Brahman. Like like try to understand that everything else is not true. That is the Supreme Brahman is the only one which is true.
Which is fine. Which is you're given one of the, let's say there is 100% is the answer, you have given 10% of the answer. Okay. But whatever you said, fortunately, it is in the right sequence. So let's take that one part. Whenever I say let go, Tiago, all you think is saffron robe, and it puts you back. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, no, no. Think of it. We have lived a life where there was no phone. I've come to this world and I've been driving in this country without a cell phone, without being connected with the rest of the world, without being connected with this thing. How did we communicate? If I have to tell somebody, oh, email. No, I've lived in an era where there was no email.
Letters.
So the notion that you can't live without an iPhone or an email or WhatsApp, it's all built up. Who builds it up? Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella. They have that powerful marketing machine that makes you addicted to believe that this is the world. So if human mortals through marketing can do that, imagine what you would have gotten to as attraction with the other worldly things that have been presented in front of you. A tree that is growing, not in your control, nobody created it. You put the seed, you pour water, it grows. There is some other power that is doing it. There are gazillion things that you are getting addicted to. Imagine a life where there is no tree. I can give an example of one here itself. When there is a big rough weather, if those who are living in the Western world will know, especially UK, she will be vouching for it. You just can't look at outside and say, "Oh, it's very sunny. I don't need an umbrella." By the time you go a mile or 2 mile, and you want to come back, it will be pouring dogs and cats. So imagine if that is the case and you have not taken an umbrella, what is your best support? You can hide under a tree. But what if there is no tree for miles? So everything is for us within the realm of what we see, what we believe, and everything. So we are trapped into that. So if you believe that I cannot live without watching the news every day, I have to stay up to date with all the news. I have to watch sports, I have to watch politics, I have to watch. If ever that belief comes to your mind, think of it the gazillion things that you don't know that is happening in the world. Your life cannot be dependent on that. You have created that impression that I cannot live without it. So whenever you say, I don't know whether I can give up anything, start giving up things that you think you can and experiment with it. Can you experiment with saying I will not watch TV for 3 days? Is it going to starve your children and spouse? Maybe they will get better food and more food. There are benefits. Correct? So this mindset is what I'm talking about. That we are all controlled by that mind. We are made to believe. I gave the example of Colgate. Years ago, they said, "Oh, you are so primitive. You are using charcoal." Same Colgate coming back and saying, "Oh, this is the best this is the best toothpaste because it has got charcoal." You believed that Colgate ad then. You believe this Colgate ad today. You open the tap and you wash your hand. Oh, see, I'm washing my hand frequently. Okay, just she will say as a science student, she'll say, "Hey, just plain water is not good enough. There could be grease in your hand. That can go only with the soap. I have to just put a bottle with a slightly greasy solution there. You will believe it is soap. You will believe, oh, now I've got all the germs gone." Then comes sanitizer. Oh, that soap is not good enough, but this sanitizer with alcohol will kill everything. Until you put your hand like this, and she will know all the instruments or devices to measure whether there are still bacteria in your hand. Oh, yeah, 99.9999%. We want to believe, and everything is relative. So instead of having the faith purely on that, to come back to what she said, meditation is one tool. What does it do? It cuts you off of all the worldly attractions that you believe that you can't live without. Second, internal fitness. Do pranayama, right? When you do pranayama, you do, if you, Baba Ramdev is your benchmark, then you're finished again. Because everybody cannot be wearing a saffron robe underwear in national TV every day in the morning and dance around. But if he does that, you tend to believe, oh, that is the only way you can do yoga. No, there are many other ways you can do yoga. I'm not bad mouthing him, but that whole notion that is yoga need to be validated, right? So you'll say anulom vilom. So inhale from here, exhale from here. No, we have been taught puraka, kumbhaka, rechaka. Because the power is in that kumbhaka. The power is not just in inhalation and exhalation. The power is in holding it here. So until you acquire that knowledge, you always believed, oh, I am doing pranayama, so I'm healthy. Somebody else also yesterday said, you're experimenting or testing a device for air and pathogen scavenging. And we were told you connect it to the power, you will see the drastic difference on an area of 16,000 square feet. The device was connected in a bedroom that is hardly about 160 square feet with only one person, and it didn't show the difference. So, without going into the detail, we must ask ourselves the question that what we believe as the knowledge, is it the real knowledge or is it something beyond that? So that is where first of all you start doing the meditation. Learn what is meditation the right way. You can't just Google everything and pick up whatever comes to your search, because then Sundar Pichai is controlling your knowledge and source of knowledge, not you. I hope you know he decides how to present what information in the first. That whole field of expertise is called search engine optimization. So if I pay more money through campaigns, Google ads to Sundar Pichai, he will make sure that all what I write, crap or otherwise, will show up at the first. As a human, have you ever scrolled 5, 6 pages later to find out what is the most authentic knowledge? Be honest to yourself. But we take that knowledge and then we will fight to finish with our friends and relatives. I know, don't teach me all these things. This is human. Instead, keep it very simple. Keep your mind open. I have to maybe learn more. That is not enough. That is all. And that quest for learning is there till your last breath. There can never be a day where you can say, I know everything. I'm saying this for myself, including my guru and guru's guru. That is a fact that you cannot say, oh, I'm a guru, I'm teaching so many people. I'm a guru, so many people are falling at my feet. Don't get carried away by all these things. We are all taught. There are people who are 20 years older to me, they fall at my feet for my blessings. We are supposed to say Narayana, Narayana, which means it's not for me, I'm a messenger. It passes to Lord Narayana. At the same time, you have to give the blessing to the person because you are not giving it, you are giving it on behalf of the Lord. Because that person of 20 years older to you is not falling at Kumar's feet. That person is falling at the role of here is a person that is giving me knowledge as a guru, so I respect it. This learning is important. So coming back, meditation, pranayama, do the nyasas. So you're actually cleansing your internal part. If you remember all the stula sukshma karana shariram, every time you do that, you believe that there are three systems. Don't say I forgot. This has to be in your DNA by now. So when you do nyasam and you're invoking each part of the body, believe that the power of that mantra is cleansing it more than your sanitizer manufactured by somebody. Correct? So when somebody says, are you challenging science? I say yes. Because that science is designed and defined by humans. What is science? Science is relatively new. Science is not existing from Satya Yuga. People like you and I have reverse engineered nature and put it in a catalog form saying it is science. It's built on lots and lots of theories, small theories, validation. Then you take that validated theory to prove something else. You take that proven theory to prove something else. It's a very painful, systematic reverse engineering of nature. And still we don't have a clue to gazillion things. You ask the doctors today, what is causing Alzheimer's? Maybe. You can never be sure of what you have written, what you have invented, but you can be sure of what the grand theater that you're living in. So that is one of the reason I say source books rely on that much more than interpretation or commentary, including me. The way I am interpreting it for you, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. That if I hit upon that source book with the source interpretation of that word, and if it differs marginally than what I have taught you, you have to believe in that more than what I'm saying. This is basic rule. So mantra, nyasa, pranayama, then learn those mantras that you know. One form of mantra is japa. Constantly you are doing that. It is like that vibrator that you constantly put in your body, right? So electrical impulse or just sound noise, that vibration is causing certain effects. Parayanam, Abhishekam, Archana, Havanam. This whole ecosystem components that are there, you keep doing the component and you keep learning the next level. For example, when you were initiated, you were taught the very basic form of japa. Correct? 5, 6 karanyasam, 6 anganyasam. As you progress to the most advanced level, you will see that even in this one point of shoulder, there may be 36 to 52 points for nyasa. Now, as soon as you come to me for the first day, or the guru, you go to the guru says, oh, this is how you have to do nyasa. I'm sure you'll just run away from that place. So for everything, just like you learn A for apple, B for boy, and then you graduate to a PhD level, which takes years, even the knowledge that you're acquiring here goes through a systematic process of basic level of knowledge, then the next level, then the next level. Right on the first class, if I say, oh, Shat Chakra, this is Muladhara, Swadhisthana, then there are so many nadis, and I start dumping all that information, you will nod your head. Great, nice to hear that. And then you'll come back to the next class and say, I don't remember one word of what you said last class. So process of learning is important. So just like some teacher, effective teacher has to understand this process and start giving you knowledge in that fashion, you also become a teacher for yourself. So what is it that I'm going to look at? And how do I pace my learning? So you straight away do Google and somebody gives you some postdoctorate level funda on internet, either through YouTube or some PDF or some website. You just start reading it without knowing the system or understanding the system. You're going to be lost. Because next time if Sundar Pichai says, okay, somebody else paid more money, he's going to show that PDF. Your PDF will be in the 16th page. And if that PDF is written by some other person with some intent, it will be exact opposite of what you have learned. So what do you do? Correct? So start doing this. Experiment of giving up the whole thing of what you have been believing that I can't live without it with smaller experimentation. I keep doing it all the time. You may think that I'm weird, but that's how I keep myself fit. I'll give you a personal example. There was a time when I used to watch 12 to 14 hours of news in front of the television. Normally, if you watch, you will watch one channel, right, at a time. I was going crazy. I used to have 6 channels on, all tab on the TV. I will have 1 or 2 channels on the laptop. And I believe I'm multitasking. I'm working and watching. So I've got superpower to understand that I'm keeping up to date with all the news and debates. One fine morning, I said, what the hell am I doing? With a snap, I said, no, I'm not watching it. Trust me, I have not watched those channels for the last 6 to 8 years. My life hasn't changed. In fact, it has improved for the better. I'm doing a lot more better things. So, this trap that you're into has to be managed and managed systematically well with confidence.
Actually, the news channels are only propagating negativity.
Yeah.
They
So,
really
no,
don't
I'm,
bring
I'm
out
not
the
going
news
into that
which are
aspect of it in the class right now. But I'm saying whether they're saying good or bad, if you believe that your life can't sustain without it, that you are then trapped. So unless you start releasing all that stuff, you will not be able to focus on yourself. So every time I say Tiago, don't go to that. Should I stop cooking food? Should I stop taking care of my family? No, that is the last thing that you have to give up. Am I making sense, Padmaja? Doable. So I want to see that smiley face, then a concerned look. Oh man, this man every class he says give up, give up, give up. How can I give up all these things? Experiment with the smaller things, and you will see the kick that you get. You will see the motivation that you get. That I am capable of giving it up. Do it in a systematic fashion. I would say home responsibilities the last priority to give up. Anything related to health, nutrition. Don't say, oh, I've stopped eating one time now. I'm giving up because Kumar told me to give up. No, those will all lead to anorexia and many other problems. So don't do any of those things. Do it with knowledge. Learn what you're doing. Validate the source of information. Make sure that you are going to as be close to the source as possible, and then structure the knowledge. It's like a Lego or a puzzle, pieces of the puzzle. Whatever knowledge you get, put it into a structure. How this knowledge is related to the other thing that I already know. That is how you're going to unravel the canvas. Then it is
it's
not
quite
difficult.
feasible. It's quite feasible because see, I used to have a habit of having a cup of tea with my breakfast.
Hmm.
Last 3 4 years, I have given it up. I decided no, I don't want it. I can survive without it. So simple extra sugar, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm able to do it. Rarely I do get like suppose if someone asks for it and I make for them so thoda cutting chai, I take. But I am not addicted to it. I have given up.
That is a key word. I didn't want to use the term because some people will say, "Hey, so what do you mean if I drink juice every day? Is it addiction?" No, whether it is addiction or not, it is up to you. I am not. See, for example, many people will say, "I am a Mahapariva Bhakta, so I have given up coffee." It's wrong branding, wrong knowledge. Mahapariva never said you give up coffee because he's not the owner of a coffee plantation, this thing or opposing camp and pro camp. The background is that there was a bhakta, Mahapariva, die-hard bhakta, who was very, very poor, extremely poor, and never used to stay at home. And he is a grahastha. That man was a grahastha with wife and kids and everything, all depending on his salary. Whatever income he earned, he used to go and buy kilograms of coffee powder. And he will run away from home and come to Kanchipuram. I'll be at your feet, Periva. I'll be at your feet. And Periva knows everything, correct? So he knew this person has sacrificed, because somebody would have told him, you give up everything, you will get moksha. But every day he will not forget to have that coffee. It was like an addiction for him. So when Periva said, give up coffee to that person, he was telling him, give up addiction. The branding missionary picked it up and said, oh, Periva told him to leave up coffee. I am also. I don't believe in that. You pick the essence of the message, not just take it at literal face value and start dancing around.
And over the silk sarees,
Huh?
over the Pattu Pudavai,
Pattu Pudavai, he believed that, that the whole process of where you get that silk is through hatya of something, correct? So he never said that is absolutely a sin. Okay. I will share one piece of information related to this, because it could be perceived a little controversial. I'll do it after the live streaming ends. Remind me if I don't do it, just quickly, right? So coming back to this, so the effect of merit and demerit in all the benchmarking, is she wearing a good sari better than mine? All these things, if these are within your control, it doesn't cost you any money. That comparison tendency and all. If your basic is all about that, listen, the whole family runs on me. I'm supposed to cook, make things available, blah blah blah. List it in a whiteboard and say, this is something that I can never give up. Maybe that is the last thing that you will give up. But what are the other things that you are addicted to, or you believe that you can't live without, that you can give up? You will find a million things. Start practicing it from now. Maybe you will take 20 years to really master that whole theory, right? Until then, you're not absolutely guarantee. One thing I can tell you, there is not going to be any moksha or self-realization until you achieve that. So whether you take 20 years or 15 years or 5 years, it is up to you, right? So this merit and demerit, etc., they are burnt up with the fire of knowledge, because these are only conceptual and not spiritual. Sonalji is very quiet today. I'm a little concerned.
No,
So
I'm flowing. Could I just ask about the techniques? You said meditation, pranayam, mantra, japa. Punyasa, I don't know what that is. I'm afraid.
I told you that you take your finger like this, probably you touch the various parts of the body, and for each part of the body there is a specific bijakshara. We call it as a bijakshara. Bija means seed, the bijakshara, and you have that devata. You chant that bijakshara and the devata and touch that part of the body. And when you're touching it, you believe that you're invoking God into that part of the body, that God.
But that, like, where do you learn? Where can one learn that from?
In a proper school, a Vedic school or a Sri Vidya school. You need to get initiated. That's where the initiation concept and Guru Parampara concept is there in our system.
Okay.
All what you're entrapped today and getting more and more entrapped is the Kali Yuga technology. Apple phone, browser, internet, everything. In good old days, nothing was there. Still people lived. They were more knowledgeable than us. So the whole notion of Guru Parampara is that you're learning it from a person who has been through that path way ahead of you. It doesn't mean that person knows everything. It's only that that person is traversing that path way ahead of you, knows what he has learned, and that person has got the knowledge from somebody who is even far further ahead of the Guru. That is why the whole Guru, Paramaguru, Parameshti Guru, Parapara Guru, and we start with Guru Vandanam, because without that lineage, our authenticated knowledge is not going to be available. Correct?
Okay.
So that is how you do it. And Sri Vidya is a Gupta Tantra, which is not going to be given to a kindergarten student. I will also tell you why, if you are interested, at the end of this class. Okay. So coming back to this. So key word in all this thing, please remember, and that is where I'm trying to simplify everything instead of making it a complex thing. You said desire, meditate, everything. Can one person say what is a common word that connects all this?
Is it Gyan Yog?
Hmm?
Gyan Yog? To knowledge, getting the knowledge, or reflecting on the knowledge?
To self.
The mind. Mind. How many times I use the word mindset? You keep thinking, I can't live without it. What is playing it up? The mind. So please understand, every system in our spiritual this thing, which some people have made it so controversial to even talk about, is all about how to protect that mind, keep that mind pure, clean, simple, and active. The whole theory of marketing is how I can play in your mind. Babaji's, Baba Ramdev's playing on your mind. Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella playing on your mind. Everybody, Tim Cook playing on your mind. You go and watch an ad on Google Pixel, you'll think that is the best invention on earth. You go and watch a Tim Cook Apple show presentation, you'll say, oh, that is not the best one, this is the best one. The battle is between who can impress your mind and keep it locked better than the other. So if you understand the philosophy of Apple marketing, every year new devices being released as if the other device is going to get obsolete in 2 years, is playing on your mind. You don't want to be left behind. So you'll say, I'm going to upgrade, I'm going to upgrade. All of a sudden, the budget will be allocated from somewhere. So it's all about mind. So as long as the mind exists, you are not going to be able to avoid all this until you learn what is mind, until you learn how to control mind. That is the first step. So Sonalji, to sum it up, all what I said, the options, they are all prepping your mind. So when you don't do the basic, and then I tell you about Shat Chakra, Nadi, Vidya, etc., it makes no sense. You can only imagine and start repeating what I'm saying. Oh, there is a Ida Pingala Sushumna like a serpent, etc. But you will never be able to feel it or internalize it until you have your system prepped up from this entrapment. Am I answering the question? So do you need to wait for till you are almost about to die to say, I'm now ready to learn, because now I'm not compromising on the purpose of my birth, I'm not letting my family down, all those guilt feelings, will it go away, that you can start learning from now? The answer is yes. In my world, you should. Okay. So what we are talking of is that mind transcending this entrapment. So the other word that I wanted to say when Usha you were speaking is, you will do everything, only first you start believing that there is such supreme being. Talk to your next generation or the generation after that, they'll say, oh mom, come on, there you go again, you start all over. You want to live your life, you live your life, don't tell me this. You're living in that world. And the worst is, USA is the leader in many of these concepts. The most dangerous world that we are moving into is, parents, as parents, we cannot tell our child that goes to school that you are a male, you are a female. By law, we are not allowed to say that anymore. The child has got the freedom, or 16 years, which some other lawmaker has decided that 16 years is good enough for the child to become mature and understand the moksha philosophy. The child will say, yeah, I'm a male or I'm a female, or maybe there are other 76 categories. Had it been up to that point, I would have still said, okay, gender mutilation and gender surgery at school level is the law. If the child wants to do it, it can do it as many times, from boy to girl, girl to boy, and everything. Parents are not allowed to speak about it. You can't say it is my child. I have to tell that what you're doing is dangerous. If I say that, I'll be arrested. So if anybody that doesn't believe in Kali Yuga, please go through these laws that are enacted in this country. You will exactly know what is the beginning of Kali Yuga. I'm very honest about it. Ask those people who are lawmakers and talks of constitution and democracy whether they understand nature. Why God has created them.
Different in India? Is it different, or is it like
India is very soon emulating everything in the US. So this whole Bharatiya Nari concept and everything is out of the window. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to make it very controversial here. It's nothing but the people who are busy doing it, they understand our mind better than us. So instead of me whining about it, what am I doing about it? My contribution, I believe, is I educate as many people as possible, like you all, in saying this is what it is, and hope that you are able to speak in the same way to people that you interact with. That is how you neutralize that negative force, by creating knowledge in the minds of people that are influenced, right? So mind is the one that we're talking of transcending. I gave you the basic tools. Once you do the basic tools, your body and mind is prepared to absorb the next level of knowledge. Once you take the next level of knowledge, you are prepared for the next level. That is how you grow. And in all this, go through a validated source, authenticated source, which in our system is no substitute for Guru Parampara. That is why you place Guru above God. Okay? You tell somebody, you wash Guru's feet and take this thing as tirtham. Oh, that person is a human being. How can I take the water from the feet that a human feet and take as a tirtham? There goes the mind. And I guarantee you, if I take that water and put it through a so-called device that I have invented called filter and I give you, you will take it. Correct? I'm myself promoting a technology which is called water remediation. I can take sewage and convert it into potable water through that technology. If I give you a YouTube video, clinical test, certificate from a lab, etc., comfortably you'll take that and drink it. But not everybody. Somebody will say, hey, that is still from sewage. That mindset. You are in control of that in terms of how to perceive it. Do you want to believe in the technology and drink that water which was originally a sewage? Or your mind is so strong and say, no, I don't need to do it. And you say, I'm mentally very strong. Until I cut down the source of good water, you will say, I don't have anything. At least I have this. Mind is again changing. You see how it plays? In all of this, as scary as it is, you have to believe it is your mind. You have the best control. And that is all about mindset and knowledge. You orient yourself. As she said, I don't want to have tea from tomorrow. I can live without it. Work towards that solution, you can achieve it. All right. So when the mind is transcended, you are also transcended. The whole universe stands transfigured in the absolute. The jiva becomes free from blemishes, shortcomings, attachment, sorrows, happiness, and gets unified with the supreme being. Equality with the infinite is the same as identity with the infinite. When you come out of all these things, then you believe as God. Unfortunately, many of us, we do the exact opposite. The more knowledge of this entrapped world we know, we think we are God. Then you can control the destiny of many other people. It makes sense? So first you have to understand what is the real God. If you can't describe what is God, then you will not be able to go towards that direction. I'm not making fun of people. I'm not ridiculing them even in the remotest, wildest imagination of mine. I have seen people put all four sides of the wall in a room which they call it as a temple room. Every square centimeter, there will be a picture frame of God. Different God. Because we have 33,000 crore. I mean, your four walls in your house of 120 square feet is no match. Because the more the pictures they put, the more you believe that they are spiritual, God fearing. Then I asked that person one day, which direction can I do namaskar to God? My Kuladevata is Subramanya. He is on the north wall. But unfortunately, I put Mahapariva in the south wall. So if I pray to my Muruga, I'm insulting Mahapariva. No answer. But the same person will lecture you. Oh, don't do namaskaram in this direction because he's got godly knowledge. Now, put that whole sampradaya aside. and believe God is that air that we breathe in, God is that water that we get, is there a direction? Is there a sense of disrespect and respect? Nothing. God is within you. So why should your feet showing to some picture on the wall be so insulting? This mindset change requires effort, conscious effort, knowledge. Because what drives you into certain things is, the other word that I keep saying is guilt. The tendency to be guilty of something is what entraps you into something. If I tell you every day morning you have to drink alcohol, why wouldn't you do it? Not because you have the scientific knowledge and the clinical data of, oh, this alcohol formula, chemical formula is this and it goes into the bloodstream, it does this. I don't think everybody has that knowledge. That Fatima has taught you alcohol is bad for your life. So that knowledge, which is given free of cost, is so powerful and deep because it is associated with a sense of guilt. If you break this line, this Lakshman Rekha, that means you are a sinner. That is how knowledge is imparted to us, which some of our friends call it as programming. You know who I'm talking about. In a way, he's right. One of our friends in our school group says, Indians are programmed from birth. No, they are not programmed. They are taught many things. Unfortunately, the system is open, so it is corrupted. But that doesn't stop you from saying, I'll pick up the thread from where I left off. Now I know the path, so let me embrace it and take it. Make sense? Padmaja and Sonalji are very still today. Am I talking too deep? No?
No, at least I am able to relate to every word.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, because I have come from that path and switched over to.
Good.
Actually, I was just thinking.
You have seen me, known me 5 years back, and how I have been.
Yeah.
for the last-
Yeah. Do you regret it?
No, I don't regret
Exactly.
anything that I have done.
So does it mean that you have to be guilty that why you were not like this 5 years ago? Absolutely.
I have lived my life the way I want.
Exactly.
I want to live differently.
Exactly. Yeah, Padmaja, you were saying something.
No, you were saying about the programming of the Indians. No, I was just thinking, suddenly I remembered. Yes, we don't keep two brooms together.
We don't
My
keep?
daughter, I have rent ಬಾರಿಗ ಚೇತು ವರ್ಷನಗ ಚಂಡ ವರುಂತ ಕೆಲವು.
Oh, yeah.
No, my daughter, she says it is stupid, but since you have already told me, I'm not able to keep it.
I will give you a simple tip. I'm saying this on YouTube, on record. Have the courage to experiment intelligently. Have the courage to experiment, but with knowledge. Okay? So, the equality of objects with different characteristics is totally a mental imagination and not a fact. But equality of identical natures encompassing the whole existence is the experience of an indivisible, unified, wholesome force. That is God. Okay. So quickly, let me go to the fourth mantra I wanted to complete today. Prano Heshayah. Prano Heshayah. Sarvabhutair Vibhati. Vijnanan Vidwan Bhavate. Nativadi. Vijanan Vidwan Bhavate Nativadi. Atmakrida Atmaratihi. Kriyavanesha Brahmavidam Varishtah. I just gave you a demo of why it is not easy to know everything about Sanatana Dharma, if you realized it. Do you know what I'm talking about? The language in which this knowledge is available is not easily understandable by common man. That is why it is difficult to know about our system. And just to learn about some basic concept that we are humans and there is God, we are taking so many weeks of classes. So imagine what all things you need to know for you to attain moksha, which is where that system becomes very, oh, it's too big for me to even believe it. That 10 bullet point system is very easy. Put it in your pocket as a concise book, follow it, end of story. Or the other one with a lot of chorus sounds that you keep hearing it. Even when somebody is given a player of the match award, you will see that first word. That system is very easy. This is the reason why people stop believing in our system and start moving to something else. So translating that knowledge, sharing that knowledge is a very important tool. So yaha means he who, sarva bhutaihi means in all beings. If this meeting ends, please click on the same link and join again. I will reopen the meeting. So before we wrap up, in all beings, vibhati pervades, all pervasive, pervades. Eshaha means he, he means verily, pranaha the life, vidvan obviously you all know what it is, the wise, vijanan knowing him, him is who, the purusha, ativadi a vain babbler. I'll explain what that is. So vain babbler is someone who talks continuously about the realities of life, somebody who has realized Brahman, somebody who has attained that self realization, and somebody who sees nothing else but Brahman in this universe. That is the meaning of Atibadi, a vain babbler. Na bhavate does not become. Eshaha, this. Atma kridaha, rebelling in the self. Me, Chhatrapati. Aramaratihi, satisfied with the self. Kriyavan, the performer of devotional practices. A very important word that you all need to understand. Brahma Vidam, of the knowers of the self. Knowers means Knowers, knowers of the self. Varishtah, the foremost. So to summarize this in simple language is, this mantra says, he is the prana that pervades all beings, not just human beings, all beings. Knowing him, the wise one does not become a vain babbler. Just to know that there is a Purusha does not make you a individual with moksha. You have to realize it to attain moksha. Yeah, I know Purusha. That means I'm a self-realized soul. That is a very wrong assumption. He revels in the self. He is satisfied with the self and is endowed with all the virtues of devotional practices. Verily is he the foremost of all the knowers of Brahman. So if we try to go a little bit more into the meaning of this, what this mantra says is, in all beings, just not just human beings, all beings, this one supreme life manifests itself. That is the Purusha. Knowing this, the wise one does not speak of anything else. If you believe in that, then you will constantly talk about it, and your goal will be to realize that Purusha and merge with the Purusha. You can't say in the class every Wednesday I will talk of Purusha, but as soon as I keep the phone down, then I'm back into my basic guilt, mind, entrapment ecosystem, right? Then you're just fooling yourself. So once you have the knowledge, you will keep talking nothing about the Brahman. Having the bliss in self, the action in the self, that person who is in this path or in this journey is the best among knowers of Brahman. Somebody who is able to make progress in that journey As you approach closer and closer to Brahman, you are the best knower of Brahman, not somebody who is outside of that path, outside of the journey. So, one who realizes the Supreme Being as one's own self ceases from the natural sense functions, which are means Indriyangal related, Indriyangal centric functions, the whole life that revolves around Indriya, right? So connect the whole process which I had given you as a template. Whatever your senses do creates impression. Impression is there in the chitta. Then there is a I, ego, ahankara, and all the impressions are converted into a movie. Movie becomes your experience, and then you are entrapped into that. That's how that mind is controlled. So you cut certain things in the whole process, saying that yeah, I'm able to see it because I can't close my eyes and ears and nose that exist, but I have to transcend that and realize self. That is by controlling that mind, not letting it wander here and there and just go after anything that you hear and see and say, my end goal is there. I have to go live through these daily things until I master that art. Make sense? So that is a journey. That is the second thing that we need to understand. So one who realizes the Supreme Being as one's own self, instead of looking for a god in a temple or an idol or on the streets, where you saw that I've seen people like, even if there's a stone that is put, you put Hanumate Namaha below that stone, so everybody will say like this and go. It's not bad. We don't have to ridicule that. But don't believe that that stone is God. Through that idolization, it is one of the mechanisms for you to start making you believe that there is God. It is to contain you. That is the whole process. So I'm not ridiculing any of the sampradayas that we have, but we need to learn. That's a good starter kit.